Butker trying to line this up. Winchester will snap it. Colquitt will hold it. 20-20 tie. High snap, pulled down. Butker's kick is out. It is right down the boulevard. It's good. And the Chiefs take a 23-20 lead with 4 seconds left in regulation. And Harrison Butker kicks some, you know what? Welcome to the Chiefs Kingdom.
How's it going, Chiefs Kingdom? You're listening to the Arrowheads Abroad podcast after the Chiefs go 3-0 with a 33-28 win over the Ravens. And to dissect the game on the podcast today is myself, Brad Simcox, the Arrowheads Abroad Supremo Tom Childs, and backing us up at safety is Dave Barnett. How are you doing, lads?
I'm alright, mate. What was with the over-the-top intro for myself there?
I'm trying to get a bit. Well, I was trying to get a bit professional, but I just thought I'd have to throw something a bit more surprising in towards the end there. Because it's nice having you on, mate. That's all I can say.
Mate, I'm not the one that's gone AWOL.
Yeah, it is normally me at the minute, isn't it? I should say, Brad Simcox is back. Yes!
Yeah, Tom Childs, Dave Barnett, and Brad Simcox.
Yeah. 2 shows in a row for the first time in almost 6 months.
Back to back. How we doing, boys? We're excited, aren't we?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
We're over the moon Monday morning and all that.
Yeah, because like this game got hyped, and we're sure we're going to go into more detail, but it got hyped, and ultimately it was about 2 quarterbacks, and that's what the billing was about. One quarterback decided to turn up, and the other
one quarterback and one running back
didn't decide to play quarterback yesterday. So yeah, I'm good.
Come on.
I am very good right now. The Chargers lost, the Broncos lost, the Raiders lost, and the Chiefs are sitting pretty with a 2-game lead after week 3. So I'm happy.
The birds are tweeting and everything. It's great, isn't
it? Well, you are happy today, aren't you?
I am happy, yeah. It's just that, it's that Monday morning feeling when, the rest of the AFC West have lost and your team's just flying high.
I know what it is, Tom. I know what it is.
What's
you
that?
Got some?
Fucking Sky Sports mentioned the Legion of Zoom, didn't he? That's what it is.
That's in my notes.
He's like,
further down,
he's there like,
he mentioned it.
He's like, honestly, he's been sat on his hands since we started this. He's just been like waiting to be like, guys, by the way, do you watch Sky Sports yesterday? Yeah, did you?
I hadn't realised.
Did you not hear it?
No.
Oh yeah, they said it on there, Legion of Zoom, because he was like, it was what do they call him again? Legion of.
If you'd have seen my Twitter game yesterday, Tom, you'd have known all about it. But obviously, you didn't pay attention.
You were on Twitter, Dave?
I was doing the Twitter yesterday.
I decided to take an evening off, I'm not going to lie. I noticed that Tyreek Hill tweeted about Legion of Zoom.
He did.
This morning. So.
That means it's officially happened. I've officially made it. He's accepted it, hasn't he? So,
Yeah, I suppose.
He was accepting applications.
I mean, the thing is, though, nobody's mentioned you, so that's why it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Nobody has. That's the problem.
That's
like
a few of us know.
Reynolds,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm sure if Neil Reynolds realised that you were the one that created it and it was actually born in Newcastle, England, I'm sure he would have mentioned it on Sky, wouldn't he?
I might have to contact him.
Yeah, tweet at him. Just be like, Neil, I know you're a bit of a twat, but can you just mention me on your show? Thanks.
I know.
He's not a twat. That's a bit harsh.
He is.
I know it.
We're not going to get into that.
Yeah, let's not. But he is.
Yeah, let's not get into that. No, but I kind of felt that the Legion of Zoom thing was kind of dying out, and I don't know if it is. You guys need to tell me if it is or not. Is it one of these things?
I hope it does. Because we'll never hear the end of it.
Or are we going to hear it when the Legion of Zoom is lifting the Lombardi?
It'll be on the America's Game episode when they're talking to like Tyreek Hill or whoever, which receiver they pick, and they bring it up as a Legion of Zoom. I'm sure it won't be Tyreek Hill.
If they'll interview Brad will just pop up on America's Game and be like, well, I was sat at home.
Like, I was drinking me Nuki Prune. Having me Greg's.
Having some tuna crisps.
It just popped in my head like, stubbed me toe and it went in.
You just see all the Chiefs like sat looking at him like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah, and Tyreek Hill's saying something like, "Yeah, some foreigner came up with it." I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Enough about my fame and all that. No fortune, put it that way.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, but we've got a game to talk about, lads.
Did we play yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually quite an exciting game towards the end. Saying the same thing as always is the first quarter. The Chiefs didn't really show up again, did they? Didn't really show up at all.
Slow start for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. All that really matters is what's on the scoreboard at the end of the game. Like, obviously, you'd like to start out fast. I'm sure the Chiefs would love that. But, they had a streak at, what was it, prior to the Raiders game of 22 straight games of scoring in the first quarter. It was bound to end at some point. It's not the end of the world. Like I say, the offense is still pretty free scoring and probably should have scored more yesterday. Just, again, classic Andy Reid, get a big lead, sort of, just bring the offense down. Yeah, exactly. It was it's frustrating. I understand why he does it, because obviously he doesn't want to show too much. But at the same time, it just I feel like that game became a lot closer than it needed to be, because I say at one point, what was it, 30-13, I think,
something like that. Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like we made that game so much closer than it needed to be. Like, just look at Belichick in New England. Like, they stamp on people's necks when they're up in games. They do not let their foot off the gas, and as I say, it's something I'd like to see Reid and the Chiefs do a little bit more and not ease up, at least not in the start of the second half. At least do it like when there's 5-6 minutes left in the game and there's no chance of a comeback, rather than at the start of the second half.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd rather Reid just goes for it, kills a team off, and then you bench Mahomes and you start and line up. I'd rather he did that. Get to like 40 odd points, 43-13 or whatever, and then just sit them after that. But it doesn't. He keeps them hanging around, and it just puts pressure on, and you can sense that the fans feel it as well.
Well, I say it puts pressure back on the defense as well. I think that's sort of an issue, because I thought the defense played pretty well for the most part yesterday. Yeah. Obviously, had a tough day against Mark Ingram, but he'll have days like that against several teams, not just against us. But sort of nullified that Ravens passing attack a little bit, that had been hyped up. And I just feel like obviously when the Chiefs offense sort of stuttered a little bit because they tried to sort of pull it back a little bit, then it put a little bit more pressure on the defense, and it sort of kind of spirals from there. And just sort of similar to what I said earlier, I'd rather we just didn't do that as early.
Yeah, no, I'm like that. I'm with you, mate, on that one. Have we lost Tom? Where's he at?
No, I'm still here. I'm just...
Still, what are you doing?
Not with your mic? No, yeah, my mic is doing something, and I can't quite work it out, but I think I'm going to take a bit of a back seat on this podcast, because I feel like I'm going to have all sorts of technical issues. So the more I talk, the more issues we might have. So I am going to jump in every now and then. But I'm going to keep it limited.
It sounds fine, mate. So I don't know what you're talking about. Honestly, it sounds fine. I think you're just imagining shit.
Maybe
he's trying to turn it up above all hours. That's what
maybe I'm imagining stuff like people imagined that Lamar Jackson is in the MVP conversation with Patrick Mahomes, because that's one take that I took yesterday. We need to stop comparing, not us, but other people need to stop comparing good to average quarterbacks to Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes is in a league of his own.
I'm liking this, Tom. This is my kind of Tom, this.
Yeah, but I'm not disagreeing with the conclusion. I'm just disagreeing with the fact that because Lamar Jackson doesn't match up to Patrick Mahomes, that means he's good to average, because that's probably... Well, not probably. That is harsh on Lamar Jackson.
In all honesty, if we look at his body of work, though, throughout, since he's come to the league, he's been carried by an incredible defense and his own good run game and a good run game.
You have to look at...
And then he's played a playoff game against the Chargers where he didn't show up until the last 5 minutes, and then he's played the Dolphins and then the Cardinals where he performed very well. But yesterday he got found out as a passer. Okay, on the stat sheet it looks nice, 220 yards, but the Ravens were playing from behind from the second quarter and they had to come out passing. He got lucky with a couple of throws. He got bailed out by his legs. He got bailed out by a couple of missed interceptions by the Chiefs. I just don't think Lamar Jackson was very good, and people have come in and given him rave reviews for how he performed yesterday. I don't think he deserved to get the plaudits that he has. There was only one clear quarterback winner yesterday, and that was Patrick Mahomes.
You see, this is what I don't want to happen to Chiefs fans, is turn into the Patriots that go on about Brady constantly and, you know, how no one can ever touch Brady and Brady's the greatest of all time, which is, you know...
He's not, though, now, is he?
He is. I mean, as it stands, he is. You know, once Mahomes has won a couple of Super Bowls, then, you know, we can come back to that conversation. But right now, Brady's the greatest to play the game.
Agreed.
And I hate Patriots fans. I hate them with a passion, because you cannot get into a conversation with them without them going, six rings, all this kind of stuff.
We're not going on about rings. I'm going
no,
on
but
about
but it's that same conversation where
it's
you
not.
can't. No, it is. It's that same conversation where you can't compare any other quarterback to your quarterback.
I don't mind
because
comparing
of what they've done, and it's just like, just because people don't match up to Patrick Mahomes, who hands down currently is the best quarterback in the league. It's not close, and he's doing things on the football field that have never been done before. I'm not arguing that fact. That's fine, but I just feel like there's this thing that's happening where it's like everyone's just like, well, you know, Mahomes is the greatest, and everything that anyone else does is being compared to it, and it's not fair to do that to other players.
I don't think it's fair to do it to certain players, but I think it's absolutely fair to have this conversation about Lamar Jackson, who after 2 good games against the Dolphins and the Cardinals has all of a sudden been thrusted into this conversation as an equal to Patrick Mahomes. Where
I mean, that was fair based. He was thrown into the MVP conversation, which was fair based on which was fair. That's how the MVP discussion works.
Just pass the popcorn, please.
That's how the MVP discussion works. It was like Breeze and Mahomes last year.
It was an extreme overreaction.
But you can only play what's put in front of you. That's all I'm saying. And I'd say the same about the Patriots right now. It's like, I would say, you know, they can only beat what's put in front of them. And like, certainly our body of work is much stronger than the Patriots right now. But until we can prove that we can beat the Patriots, I don't see how you can put us above the Patriots right now. And you know, that's just how it is. And I say, for Lamar Jackson, I think he's deservedly in the conversation, which he's not anymore, which is also fine. But I think you're being doing a disservice to him. Like, certainly there was a couple of risky passes yesterday. I'm not arguing that fact. There was one across field to Willie Snead that certainly should have been picked off, and then there was the questionable push off that he sort of got bailed out on. But he was only having to make those throws because the Chiefs pass rush got in his face. And you know, the amount of times that I saw Lamar Jackson get out of trouble yesterday when it looked like Chiefs defenders had him dead to rights for a sack in the pocket, and he managed to scramble out and make something happen. And it's just
with
like
his legs.
Or throwing on the run at the same time. It's just like what you have to understand about this guy. This guy's 22 years old and has started 10 games in the NFL, and there's not many QBs that could have stood up to that atmosphere and that Chiefs defense the way they were playing, you know, in the second, third quarters yesterday. A lot of QBs would have wilted under that, and I'm certainly not saying like it was a super impressive performance, but I think he certainly showed enough that I think he's going to be a problem in, you know, the multiple years to come. Like, he showed me plenty there that he sort of just extended plays, made things happen when it kind of looked like there was nothing going on. And certainly he has a better defense and a better run game to lean on. He certainly has that, but at the same time, I think it's harsh to say that, Jackson looked average, because I certainly don't think he did. I just think, with the pressure that the Chiefs got and generated, like, any QB was going to struggle at times yesterday, but he hung in there and nearly brought the Ravens back from a 20-point deficit on the road. That would have been nuts. And to kind of like discredit that and say, oh, he got lucky, is kind of like that Patriots attitude of, well, we're the best. You kind of, anything anyone else does, it is lucky. And I hate it. I really hate it, because I've got so many friends that are Patriots fans. I've had to deal with that for 10 years of them. It's just like, they you just can't say anything. And I really don't want the Chiefs fan base to become like that.
Some people were actually comparing...
Sorry, ran over.
Get off your soapbox now, please. Some people were actually comparing Lamar Jackson with a young Michael Vick. Would you say that's a good comparison, would you say?
I would say Vick probably was, I guess, slightly more of a game changer, I would say. Purely because of the league at the time. But yeah, I would say he's the closest thing to Mike Vick since Mike Vick. Yeah, easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned the pass rush in that, and the pressure that they were getting. Do you think as well that any other quarterback that's there, maybe a pocket passer, it was going to be getting sacked more times during that game yesterday?
100%. If that had been Joe Flacco,
on his ass, wouldn't he?
The Chiefs D-line would have had 6 or 7 sacks yesterday. That's what I'm saying. That was the ridiculousness of it. If it had generated that pressure against Derek Carr the week before, he would have been dead to right on a number of those plays. And yeah, certainly, I think Frank Clark played really well yesterday. And I've seen a lot of people sort of not been too pleased with him so far, but based on what I saw yesterday, he looked very, very good. And Chris Jones is collapsing the pocket up the middle, and I have to say, Ogba looks like he's really good signing so far.
Yeah.
A really, really good
Considering
signing.
where we got him from, we traded Eric Murray for him, and he's already contributing. I don't know how much Eric Murray's contributing in Cleveland, but Eric Murray was a goner. We all knew he was going to get cut, and for Brett Veach to get value there and get a player that's already contributing, 2.5 sacks in 3 games and a couple of passes deflected, he was probably the best player on defense, or certainly the most noticeable in terms of impact yesterday on defense. And I think the D-line in general played quite well. They got around 20 odd pressures. Ogba got a few. Frank Clark got a few. So Chris Jones. I was particularly impressed with Derek Nardi as well. He seemed to hold up. But the Ravens still managed to have their way in the run game. Like Mark Ingram went off yesterday. And just when it seemed like we might be able to get a stop, they would go for a 4th down or a 3rd down and run on these short situations. And
Ingram
just
and
couldn't
Edwards?
get the stop. Sorry.
I mean,
Ingram and Edwards, wasn't it?
yeah. It's tough though when you have a guy like Jackson at QB, because he's always a threat to run. When they run that zone option, read option, like, you have to take into account Lamar Jackson. It's not the case with, probably 28, 29 other, starting QBs in the league. You've probably got Josh Allen in Buffalo and potentially Russell Wilson, but even he doesn't really run as much as he used to. So yeah, because you have to take into account the fact that he could just pull the ball out and run himself, it makes it an awful lot tougher, I think, against against the run than maybe a more conventional quarterback, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well let's talk a bit more about the Chiefs touchdowns, because there was some amazing touchdowns in this game. The first one was it was McCoy, wasn't it? He actually danced into the end zone after responding to Mark Ingram's punching through touchdown that he had. Yeah. The thing was, before that, there was actually a 2-point conversion that the Ravens missed, and they went for it really early, didn't they?
Yeah, I think John Harbaugh had his big boy pants on yesterday.
He did.
And he's come out and said that was the plan from the get-go. They've studied it, they've gone by analytics, and they saw the benefit of going for for it on fourth down and then going for the 2-point conversions as much as possible. And is that going to be their mantra throughout the season? I doubt it. I think that's what playing the Chiefs does to you. I think offenses and opposing coaches know that they have to score points to keep up with the Chiefs. And if you can get 8 points in, this puts a little bit of pressure on the Chiefs because they know that they have to go a similar sort of route or keep up scoring. But ultimately it failed, and that's where the Chiefs defense did excel yesterday on those 2-point conversions, because I don't think they converted any of them, did they, in the end? And I think they were 4 out of 5 on fourth down, so they got a stop there as well. But yeah, I thought it was a funny one, but I expect a lot of teams to do it against us. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers, when the 2-point conversion got brought in and when they moved the field goal back for the extra point, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they went for every other opportunity or something for the 2-point conversion, and they had some success with it when they had Bell back there. But it'd be interesting to see if that is a reoccurring theme against the Chiefs, which I think it might be, but maybe not to the extent of every single possession. But
it seemed like every time.
Well, it was yesterday. It was, I think, yesterday.
Fourth down was always an attempt.
Fourth down, and then because the numbers say you should do it now. Because the teams are becoming a lot more analytical, and the numbers say on if you've got fourth and short, you might as well go for it, because even if a team scores against you, you're going to get the ball back.
I mean,
sooner
it's
rather
like
than later.
You convert what is it on 4th and 1 or shorter? It's something like it's over 50% of the time, isn't it? I think, or something like that.
So the numbers do back it up, and I get the thought process, and but. John Harbaugh wanted to do it, and it didn't pan out for him yesterday. Ultimately, you could argue that it cost the Ravens, but I don't think he'll be regretting any of those decisions.
The weirdest thing for me about the 2-point conversions is when you've been running the ball so well, all 3 of the 2-point conversions, pass plays. Baffling. Absolutely you're averaging over 5 yards a carry, or 6 yards a carry maybe. You've got that backfield of Ingram, Jackson, Gus Edwards. You've been running the ball at will all day. You got to go in from 2 yards out. What are you doing? I don't understand. It was weird.
Wasn't the first one a designed run for Lamar Jackson when Frank Clark and Derek Nardi come across?
He went around the edge and
made the play. Yeah, but I think the other 2 were definitely pass plays.
Yeah. But I say it was one of those weird speed options outside, which are always difficult when the line of scrimmage is so crowded. It just seemed like really weird. I just felt like, they called some weird plays in weird situations. There was another 4th down play, another 4th and short, where they called a rollout to the right, and it was just like, he just narrowing the field.
He went for his tight end, didn't he?
There was 2 players stood next to each other, and just seemed like a poorly designed play. And I say just some weird decisions. But as I say, I think the Chiefs will, put pressure on teams and cause those kinds of decisions, and sort of, coaches having to almost outthink themselves a little bit, because it's like, how do you keep up with this Chiefs offense?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Straight after that, we had the second quarter, and we all know what happens in the second quarter from the previous game. My guy, Demarcus Robinson. I got a little bit carried away on Twitter, I must admit. I did actually tweet out at the time, D-Rob is WR1, don't even at me.
That's a little bit OTT. A little bit.
Nobody atted me, though, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. There was quite a few people who kind of agreeing with me, but it might have been the drink talking, I don't know. But that one-handed grab, I mean, come on. It was nice, wasn't it? It was beautiful. I mean, the speed he was going at as well.
The contract
here is real.
He's going to get himself paid, isn't he? And he's Mr.
Reliable.
It's an interesting situation to monitor over the next few months in regard to him and Sammy Watkins. But we're getting to contracts later in the year. But he's doing himself no harm whatsoever at the moment. That was an unbelievable catch. I didn't think D-Rob had it in him. I'm not going to lie. I thought the ball might have sailed a little bit, and I thought it was uncatchable. But then he managed to reel it in and keep his feet in bounds. Tony Toe Tap, as Antonio Brown calls it.
Tony Toe Tap.
But yeah,
we're talking about Antonio Antonio Brown now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Really?
I don't think we'll be seeing any Tony toe taps for quite a while anymore.
Maybe, maybe in the XFL. But yeah, no, fair play to D-Rob. He's certainly making the most of his opportunity while Tyreek Hill isn't there. And what has become clear over the last couple of weeks, even with Tyreek Hill there, is that this offense does not miss a beat, even when it's missing a superstar.
No, I know.
Yeah, and I say that's it. That's the thing is like, I always feel like with Robinson it was consistency. I always feel like, and I may be wrong on this, but I always feel like he occasionally would drop easy ones that you were expecting him to catch, and then he would make a stupid catch like that where you're just like, why can you not be more consistent? Why can you not do that regularly? And hope maybe this is the year he steps forward, because obviously contract year and that's how these things work.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, when Hill gets back, it's just, what do you do? Like, honestly, as an opposing defensive coordinator, I don't get what you can do. You've got Hill, Watkins, Robinson, Hardman, Kelsey. If they go 5 wide, how would you cover all 5 of those guys? You can't. It's impossible.
I know. Well,
especially
talking
when,
Hardman,
especially when you've got the world's greatest quarterback that the world has ever seen in Patrick Mahomes, better than any other quarterback
6
I've
rings.
ever seen. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then, how do you cover it?
exactly. But I mean, you mentioned Hardman there. I mean, that 83-yard touchdown.
Speed.
The world's greatest quarterback zinged that ball. Like, it didn't have any like height on it at all. The trajectory was just
flat,
so low, wasn't it? And it was just like, just fill your boots, son. Off you go. Just
what I particularly enjoyed is that the world's greatest quarterback actually threw that ball over Earl Thomas, because the world's greatest quarterback recognised that Earl Thomas was biting down, and then the world's greatest quarterback does what the world's greatest quarterback does best, and he just hit his receiver in stride, and next thing you know, the world's greatest quarterback is watching Mecole Hardman go 21.87 miles per hour towards the goal line, which is just fucking ridiculous, excuse my French.
Yeah.
And then after the game he said he was only going 85% at top speed. Like, that's fucking mad. I know I'm swearing, which I don't tend to do as much as I used to on this podcast anymore.
It's like every podcast.
That speed was just ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It's just mad.
Yeah, it just,
carrying the ball like a loaf of bread as well.
Please don't do that.
You've got less than some shady.
Clearly there, yeah. But it didn't end there really, because the Ravens came back in with Ingram went in for a touchdown, and bizarrely started punching the Arrowhead logo, which I don't really understand that, because
after he just fell.
But they were 2 scores down as well, and I'm thinking, what are you doing that for? You're not making yourself any friends there, mate. But yeah, I mean, the Ravens were hitting back, but it just wasn't enough, was it? Really, was it? In the end.
I was going to say, but it's not going to be enough for a lot of teams.
No.
Especially if the defense is, as I say, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. The defense just needs to be average. It doesn't need to be great. Just needs to be average. Last year, it was like dead last in, a number of different categories. And as long as it's just better than that this year, then the Chiefs have got to be, one of the favourites for the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Like, I say, just don't see how anyone can keep up with the scoring if the Chiefs defense even plays half decently the rest of the season, because there's not been a single game with Patrick Mahomes as starting quarterback where the Chiefs have scored less than 26 points, which is insane. That's the lowest, not their average, that's the lowest scoring output with Mahomes at quarterback. That's just nuts.
Whenever I've mentioned that I just want the defense to be middle of the road, whenever I've mentioned that or tweeted it out or anything like that, I've always got a bit of flack for it, because the people are actually saying, no, we want it to be better than that. And I'm like, yeah, I do too. I don't want it to be the best. I really want it to be the best, but it only needs to be middle of the road.
Yeah, I'd love the Bears defense from last year. I'd love that defense, but we don't need that. We just need serviceable.
Yeah.
But one thing that the Chiefs defense do need to do is when they get an opportunity to make a play like Charvarius Ward did yesterday, he needs to make it, because if you watch a replay of it, his arms aren't stretched out. He's almost got his arms bent waiting to make the catch, where Willie Snead goes up and gets it. He rebounds it. He goes up and gets the ball. Charvarius Ward, okay, had a height disadvantage, but he needs to at least go and make that uncomfortable for Willie Snead.
But that's why one plays receiver and one plays DB.
Yeah, very, very true. But those are the small differences in games. Like if that play is incomplete, then I think the Ravens are then punting because it was 4th and 17. And
which one is this one? Are you on about
this is the one we threw.
The one across field to
Willie yes, yeah. And not the
it's just little things like that the Chiefs can't get beaten on, that because they've done so much right in that drive. And then they get beaten by that, and the next thing you know, the Ravens are scoring a touchdown, and all of a sudden it's squeaky bum time when it really shouldn't have been. So the Chiefs just need to make those little plays, those tiny little adjustments, and then that will be the difference between having a bad defense to an average defense, from an average defense to a good defense. They just need to just tweak those little things and make plays when they're necessary.
Off-topic question.
Right.
After yesterday and what's happened with Brown
yes, I do.
At the Patriots,
do
we still want
yes.
Jalen Ramsey?
Yes, why wouldn't you?
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm just saying, do we think it's as a necessity as it was a week ago?
I don't think it's a necessity, but I'm not going to sit here and turn down the chance for us to get even closer to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And
you see, I don't know. I don't want to be giving up too much. Like we were saying before, it could have been, 2 firsts or whatever, that kind of thing. But seeing how the corners were yesterday, especially from that Hail Mary, that Jackson he was leaning back and he was getting tackled at the same time. He's almost got sacked. He just launched that ball up. That ball was in there forever, and our corner was nowhere near it. And
remember, there was a push off.
And there was a bit of a push off, there was. But I mean, if we had Peters on that play, it's either going to be a flag or it's going to be a pick, isn't it? It's either going to be a defensive pass interference or it's going to be a pick.
And you have to remember, okay, me and Dave disagree slightly on Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson is not a Tom Brady. And Tom Brady has started this season lights out, and he is playing very well. And if you compare Tom Brady with Julian Edelman to a Josh Gordon, then your corners are going to have a lot more issues than they are with Willie Snead and Lamar Jackson. So that's where it will count. Having Jalen Ramsey against the Ravens yesterday probably would have made a difference on that play we were just talking about. But overall in the game, it wouldn't have made that much of a difference because Lamar Jackson and their offense is slightly more limited in the passing game than the Patriots. But in January, particularly in Foxborough or an AFC Championship game at Arrowhead against the Patriots, you're going to need a guy like Jalen Ramsey that can lock down a receiver or a side of the field. So yeah, I'm absolutely still in for the Chiefs trying to get the Jalen Ramsey trade over the line.
Yeah. I don't know. If we can get him cheap,
That's not happening.
I love him.
I'll give you a packet of crisps.
A packet of crisps for him. I'm not going for a full case, mind. The other TDs probably not worth mentioning really because they're all pretty much Ravens after that. But Ingram got 3 touchdowns in this game as well, which very surprising. He's He is a good back. Yeah.
I mean, was in a sort of a share capacity with Kamara in New Orleans, and obviously now he's the lead back in Baltimore. They've got a good run blocking offensive line, and he was a Heisman Trophy winner in college for a reason. He's a very good player, and I say they've got a number of good backs in that Baltimore backfield, and I say with the threat of Lamar Jackson to run as well, they've got a good O-line, run blocking. They're a tough team to face, and I think obviously come January, if there is a rematch of sorts, it'll be a tough rematch.
Yeah, well, Earl Thomas is looking forward to that because he's got film now, hasn't he? Apparently.
I did laugh at that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean this game. I meant the next game in the playoffs. That's what I meant. I've got film on him now, so I can work that out now. I can make the big plays. That's a bit of sarcasm there, really, I suppose, isn't it? But we'll just leave it at that and see how it goes. But are you expecting the Ravens to be in the playoffs?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
In that division. Yeah, comfortably.
I mean, in that division, based on what I've seen of them so far, not I don't think there'll be too many teams that will give us as tough a game and as nervy a game as yesterday a lot of the time. And yeah, I say with who they've got in the division, just the AFC in general isn't super strong. I'd expect them to win the AFC. They've got a big game this week against the Browns. If they win that, they've already put a massive amount of daylight between themselves and the rest of that division. So yeah, I'd be shocked if they weren't the AFC North champs come the end of the year.
Yeah. Who was your man of the match in this game then, Tom?
The world's greatest quarterback.
The world's greatest quarterback.
Yeah, no, it was a toss-up between him and Ogba. But I feel like overall, one had more of an influence over the game than the other, which is always going to be the case for a quarterback. But I don't want, like I said, I don't want to get in last week. I don't want to get into this habit of underappreciating Patrick Mahomes. And when you go 374 for 3 touchdowns against that defense, I think you deserve man of the match. And so yeah, he's my game MVP, should we say?
Game MVP. What about you, Dave?
I mean, I would also give it to Mahomes, but I want to give an honourable mention to Honey Badger.
Yeah,
he was all over the field yesterday. He was unlucky not to have a couple of interceptions as well. He really showed why the Chiefs were so aggressive going out to get him in the off season. And if he plays like that for the rest of the year, then opposing quarterbacks better watch out, because he was roaming the middle of the field all day yesterday. Him
and Thornhill have been doing well, haven't they? I quite like that pair.
Yeah, nice combo.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Marcus Robinson.
Shocked.
Yeah. Just because of where he's come from now, and he's really locking himself in as a contender, as a WR1. Don't at me.
I'm bloody at you. I will bloody at you.
Bloody at you. No, that one-handed catch, I was like, whoa, he's arrived now. He's finally arrived. And that dinner's just smelling so nice from Tom.
Yeah, that is not looking good for you, mate.
Right, okay then. Are
you just going to give up on that already, Tom? Or
No. I'm going to see it.
How many yards are we into it now? I can't even...
It must be
nearly there, right?
Must be nearly there.
Yeah, I think you're over halfway already.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he had 170 odd last week, threw in another 40 odd this week, and maybe another 40 odd the week before, so he's easy at like 250 probably already.
Ooh.
And what did he need? 400?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kick it. You might as well concede now, mate.
No, he's waiting for him to be like sidelined with an ankle sprain or something like that. That's what he's doing.
No. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Not even for dinner.
Not even for dinner, for a free dinner. Not even for that.
You're getting a Greg's in Newcastle.
Really? Wow, you're pushing the boat out there.
Yeah, it'd be one of them cold pasties as well that's been out of the oven for ages.
Yeah. Can you warm it up for us, please, Pet? All right then, lads. It's been great talking to you again, as always. We're going to talk about the next game, which is going to be the Lions, isn't it? This weekend coming.
Looking like a tough game as well.
Yeah, it is actually, because they're unbeaten, aren't they?
They are?
Yes.
Which we
not
will...
quite in the same respect, but yes.
Still. Yeah, not in the same way that we
2-0-1.
Yeah. But we will be talking about that on the Thursday show, so look out for that one. So, thanks very much for listening, and from one kingdom to another, we'll speak to you again soon.